From voyages that went horribly wrong to scary lakes of fire that you wouldn't want to come across, here are 5 terrifying things discovered in remote locations. Number 5 on this list is a German hideout. In the thick vegetation of Teyucuar Park in Argentina, researchers back in 2015 discovered what is believed to be the ruins of a secret German hideout. This hideout is believed to have been built back in World War II by the Nazis. The lead archaeologist on this team, Daniel Schlevelsen, says apparently halfway through the Second World War, the Nazis had a secret project to build shelters for top leaders in the event of defeat. Inaccessible sites in the middle of deserts, in the mountains, on a cliff, or in the middle of the jungle like this. Over the years, more sites like this have been found in places like South America. The reason that they know these ruins were built by the Germans in World War II, and the purpose of this site would have been to act as a secret safe house upon defeat, was because they found 5 separate German coins that were dated from 1938 to 1941, and also a piece of porcelain that indicated it was made in Germany. The fact that we only came across those ruins a few years ago is pretty scary. How many other German hideouts are there scattered around the world that we don't know about? Maybe the bigger question, as opposed to how many potential locations there are, is how many were actually used for their purpose. This particular one would have not been needed because the Argentinian leader at the end of World War II was sympathetic to the Germans and other leaders fighting on that side. But still, finding something like this has to make you wonder, where else are we going to find secret hideouts? Number 4 on this list is the Franklin Expedition Mummies. 2 ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, led by British captain Sir John Franklin, were sent to explore the uncharted areas of the Northwest Passage in the Canadian Arctic back in 1845. This expedition, as you probably could have guessed, didn't go as well as the captain would have hoped. Up there in the Canadian Arctic, things get cold, and that's exactly what happened when the crew was in an area of Nunavut. They became icebound and their boats got stuck. The crew waited for a year, losing several members to the cold while they were there, hoping that the ice would soon melt and they could sail again. After a year of waiting, the survivors decided to abandon the ship and set off for the mainland of Canada. Sadly, they disappeared on their way back and were never heard from again. Over the 150 years since this failed expedition took place, several things have been discovered in the vast cold wilderness. One of the most notable are the mummies of the crew. These bodies were preserved so perfectly by the frigid temperatures up there that they may as well have been mummified. Stumbling upon these bodies, even though it would have been a great scientific find, would have been bloody terrifying if you ask me. I also can't believe that we ever thought this was a good idea back in 845 to begin with. Like, I'm all for exploring and discovering new things, but trudging a sailboat through the Arctic doesn't seem like the best idea. I can't even begin to comprehend how cold that entire trip would have been for the crew. Now these wreckage sites are a National Heritage Site and are visited often by divers and researchers alike. Number 3 on this list is the Lava Lake. Mount Erebus, which is an absolutely killer name by the way, is a volcano that's located in Antarctica. It's the 6th highest ultra mountain on the continent and it's located on Ross Island. It's very close to 3 other inactive volcanoes called Mount Terror, Mount Bird, and Mount Terra Nova. Mount Terror may have been a better name for the volcano that we're referencing though, because it's very much still active and doing well. In fact, this volcano is actually one of the most active on the entire planet. What makes this place a tad bit scarier than most though is the lake that sits atop of it. Located in one of the coldest areas on the planet at a super high elevation, the phenomenon that you get when you have lava there is really interesting. It's created this strange lava lake that's literally a mixture of raging hot fire and also blistering cold ice. When you look at this lake, it truly looks like something that you'd see straight out of hell. Also, this thing is pretty terrifying because it's actually a leading cause to the depletion of the ozone layer. The science behind this is a tad bit confusing, but what isn't confusing is the fact that we actually can't do anything about it at all. This lava lake is just going to continue depleting the ozone and erupting whenever it feels like. This volcano has also been the spot of a horrible tragedy because back in 1979, a flight carrying over 250 people from New Zealand crashed directly into the side of the mountain, killing hundreds in the process. Number 2 on this list is Hiroo Onoda. If you haven't heard this story before, then strap in because this one is a doozy. Hiroo Onoda isn't a place or an object. Hiroo Onoda is a person. Hiroo Onoda was a fighter in the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. For most of Japan and the members of the Japanese Army, the war ended in 1945 after America dropped the 2 atomic bombs on them. This wasn't the case for Hiroo Onoda though. The New York Times writes, Caught in a time warp, Mr. Onoda, a second lieutenant, was one of the war's last holdouts, a soldier who believed that the Emperor was a deity and the war a sacred mission, who survived on bananas and coconuts and sometimes killed villagers he assumed were enemies, who finally went home to the Lotus Land of paper and wood, which turned out to be a futuristic world of skyscrapers, television, jet planes, and pollution and atomic destruction. That's right guys, Hiroo Onoda spent a solid 29 years on an island in the Philippines living in the jungle until 1974, still fighting World War II by himself. He refused to believe that Japan had lost and believed wholeheartedly that they were still at war and he wasn't going to go down without a fight. This meant, as the New York Times suggested, finding this guy in the jungle was super dangerous. If you stumbled upon him, then it's very likely that you might die, considering he would have interpreted you as an enemy soldier. I can't even imagine how horrible it must have been to live in the jungle by yourself for 29 years, still believing that you're at war. Number 1 on this list is the Lost City of Giants. Ancient legends in Ecuador believe that there was a time where massive humans or giants roamed and ran the earth. Sounds a little bit ridiculous off the top and something straight out of a fairy tale, but that might not be the case based on the ruins that they discovered recently. An article written by Ivan Petrovich says, in order to find the Lost City of Giants, a group of explorers teamed up with the locals who were well aware and knew that this ancient city was in fact real. The Aboriginals led the group of explorers to the site they consider is truly holy, and local tribes gathered at the City of Giants to celebrate powerful spirits which, according to legend, still inhabited the megalithic site. According to reports, when the group of researchers arrived at the Lost City of Giants, they discovered a set of megalithic structures. The largest of them was a 260-foot tall by 260-foot wide pyramid with an irregular angle. This is truly pretty nuts. It gets even crazier though, because along with the oversized structures, they also found tools that were far too big for humans to use. The researchers who were at this site and saw it firsthand have bought in and have come out and said that they think there's serious reason to believe that in a distant past, a race of giants roamed the earth. I started off this entry by saying that the belief in giants is something from a fairy tale, but after looking at all of this, it may not even be the case. Maybe they were actually real. Hopefully in the near future, more researchers can start buying into this theory and there will be some other important discoveries that can help validate what the Ecuadorians have been believing for centuries. Well, there you have it guys, that is our list of the top 5 terrifying things discovered in remote locations. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this list and some other super strange discoveries that were found in some super weird spots. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.